Let's talk money.
Hello and welcome to a brand new edition of Let's Talk Money. I'm your host Surabhi Upadhyay. FY26 has brought with it several tax changes. Yes, this is the new financial year, and the biggest of these tax changes is the huge sweetener in the new income tax regime that has been offered this year. Now, this, along with major capital gains tax changes that were announced in the July budget in July 2024, mean that you need to look at your financial planning with perhaps a new sharp tax lens. To help us do this, we have with us today Mayur Shah of EY India and Mohit of Moneyfront. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining in. Great to have both of you on. So I thought it's a good idea to, get the house rules out on the table so we know. Of course, tax, all experts will tell us. I'm sure, Mohit, you'll agree, right? Tax is not the only reason we decide where to invest and how to invest. But it's a very important part. We can't ignore it either. So welcome to the show. Mayur, first thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this. And yes, you are right. Absolutely right. When we are really looking at it, we should look at net return which a person gets, a return on investment. And especially when you are looking at, say, something which is getting taxed at regular rate, something which is getting at a concessional rate taxed, then, the difference, the value, our money in the pocket is much larger than what we expect. So therefore, I think tax will also play an important role.
Absolutely. Mohit, smart tax planning. And this year, the finance minister has told us that if you're in the new tax regime, you can save up to 1 lakh rupees. So what do you think? Is this 1 lakh going in investments? Where should it go? Or should it go in spending?
Thank you very much, Surbhi. Look, I think I'm a firm believer that all that you earn should not be put to savings. Some things should be actually spent in a wise manner, spent for your personal necessities, spent for your experiences in life. So, of course, by all means, save much more than what you were saving previously. But yes, I think some portion has to be spent also, and that has a different kicker and a different multiplier for economy.
Oh, absolutely. All right, so get your paper and pens out, or your tablets or your digital devices out, and take notes, because this is Tax Planning 101. Mayur, my first question to you is going to be, we need to understand and illustrate what this means. Because one thing we know is now that if you have income of up to 12 lakh rupees, you don't have to pay income tax thanks to the rebate in the new regime, right? And also what the finance minister said, that you end up saving 1 lakh rupees. So just do the math for us, help us understand. How do we arrive at this? What is happening in the new regime?
Yeah, so what happens is that when income is up to 12 lakhs, probably you will calculate tax, but then you will claim rebate as a benefit. And therefore, effectively, you will land up paying no tax on that income. Okay. And that's where, you will be saving up to 1.5 lakh just because, your income is above approximately 12 lakhs.
So the rebate is 60,000 in the new regime now. And that's why you don't have any tax liability.
So this is rebate from income itself. So if your income is up to 12 lakhs, 7 lakhs is what you get additional rebate. And as a result, your income tax really goes to zero.
Okay. So that's how it is. And what about this 1 lakh rupee saving? I mean, is it for all taxpayers? Anybody with income above 12 lakhs? How do we arrive at this number?
Correct. So what happens is that what has happened, that if you look at slabs, which was earlier, which was moving up to every 3 lakhs. And now it has changed to 4 lakhs. Earlier it was ending, so maximum marginal rate came at 15 lakhs. But now it is coming at 24 lakhs. Right. As a result, the slab benefit has increased a lot and new rates has been added. Sure. As a result, you will be able to save around 1,43,000. And this applies across the board. It does not mean that it is only for the low income or high income or middle income. It is for everyone.
Everybody ends up saving a minimum of 1 lakh rupees.
Absolutely, because of the slab change.
Because of the slab changes. Got that point. So we'll come down to the math in just a minute. But Mohit, I remember when the budget was announced, I remember doing conversations and shows on this. So the rough rule of thumb that was coming out was that if your total deductions are very high, I think if they're higher than, say, 8 lakhs or 9 lakhs, maybe you're still better in the old regime. But, what did the numbers throw up for you?
Yeah, I think, Surbhi, there are certain calculators which are floating across all the social media handles, and I'll just give you a rough texture and flavor of this. So my sense is, if you earn up to 12 lakhs, then you are better off always better off in the new regime. If you earn anywhere upwards of 13 odd lakhs, and then the number changes every lakh onwards. If you're earning upwards of 13 odd lakhs, and if you are claiming deductions of around 4.44 lakhs or anything higher than 4.4 lakhs, then you might perhaps still want to be in the old regime. But if you don't have deductions totaling up to 4.5 lakhs, then you might want to take a switch to the new regime, and new regime will actually work better for you. The moment you go upwards on the salary band, which is from 13, you move to 14, 15, so on and so forth. This band of deductions, which is for 4.44 or something, will keep moving up a little. It will go up to, let's say, around 5 lakhs, 25 or 1,000 if you're earning 20 odd lakhs.
Okay. I think we.
So yes, a short answer to your question is be in the new regime if you can't claim deductions more than 4.5 lakhs.
Got that point, and which is why, viewers, please note that whatever deductions you are claiming, that becomes the single biggest reason that will determine whether the old regime is better for you or the new regime is better for you. Mayur, now let's take this with an example. I want to take an example. We've got some numbers on the screen as well. Let's assume someone has 30 lakhs of income.
Correct.
Now let's take different scenarios with low deduction, medium deduction, very high deductions. How does the comparison change between old and new?
Sure. So as rightly pointed out by Mohit, what happens? It's a combination of level of income and level of deductions which you intend to claim. Basis which whether new regime is better or old regime. Let's take an example, as you rightly said, let's take an example of 30 lakhs. And if my deduction is 2.5 lakh, the total tax liability which needs to be paid under old regime is around 6 lakh 63. But if we look at new regime, then it will come to 475, whereby you are saving around 1,87,000.
So if your deductions are as low, we have the numbers on the screen. If your deductions, you can see the table there. If your deductions are as low as just 2.5 lakhs on an income of 30 lakhs, then you are definitely better off in the new tax regime. Now let's move on. Let's talk about someone who has higher deductions than 2.5 lakhs.
Let's say that 30 lakhs is the income and the deduction is around 8.5 lakh. Then I think it will be neutral whether you follow old regime or new regime. Okay. Then the dependency is that are there any other additional advantage which you are able to claim if you are going in the old regime? The advantage is that if you have any carry forward losses, then you will be able to carry forward if you are following old regime. Then your dependency will be based on what other additional thing which otherwise I would have lost if I would have gone with the new regime. So those aspects needs to be considered to arrive at whether I should go with the old regime or new regime.
Okay, so this is really important. Now what you see on the screen is extremely clear that if, again, 30 lakh rupees is the income level we have assumed, if the deductions are as much as 8.5 lakh rupees, then both the regimes are the same, old and new. But old may still be better because you can claim certain set off of losses, etc., certain other deductions. Got that point. So is there any scenario in which the old regime is still beneficial versus the new regime?
Correct. See, old regime would be beneficial where deduction is below 8.5 or when it is 8.5. So if 8.5 is a break-even deduction, in that situation, if you have say house property losses which you need to carry it forward, then all this will be beneficial to follow old regime. But otherwise, new regime is much better.
Now let's talk about someone who has even higher deductions, 10 lakhs as deductions.
Correct. Then the old regime becomes very easy.
Okay.
So I think I would like to correct what I have said in past, that when the deduction is lower, new regime is better, but when deduction is higher, the old regime is much better in those situations.
Got that. So that's the thumb rule. Higher your deductions, maybe there are chances that the old regime is still suitable for you. But if you have very low deductions and exemptions that you're claiming, then just move to the new regime, which then brings me to the point we need to quickly recap what are these deductions. How does someone claim as much as 10 lakhs or 8 lakhs as deductions if you count all the chapters?
Correct. So, the deductions are multiple. I mean, for salaried employee, the biggest one is house rent allowance. So when a person is paying rent, HRA seems to be exempted. That is the biggest one. Then, we look at, leave travel assistance which is being provided, which can be claimed as an exempt. Along with that, especially technology persons, when they travel, they don't get a reimbursement of the expenditure incurred. But what they get is per diem allowance. And if they follow new regime, then exemption of per diem allowance is not applicable.
Okay.
And therefore, they tend to lose a lot of value there.
Okay.
So you need to consider even that as well.
Okay.
Apart from them, income from, losses from house property.
Like you explained, yeah.
Yeah. So that's another one which you are likely to lose. So if I'm not a salaried employee and if I'm having a business, then I may tend to lose depreciations or carry forward of depreciations.
Okay.
And so likewise, I don't get deductions under Chapter 6A as well.
Sure.
Which is, insurance premium or PF contribution or PPF contribution.
The lovely 80C, which is 1.5 lakhs of, deductions that we get there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Apart from that, what you also don't get is that premium paid for medical insurance.
Yeah, ATD, Section 80D. So you don't get that in the new regime.
And any donations, charitable, or any philanthropic activity which you have done, you don't get deductions for that either.
Sure. So, well, that's the rule of thumb. Keep this in mind. Look at all the deductions you can claim very, very carefully. Total all of them up. And HRA would be a big component of that if you're living on rent. And then do the math and decide whether the old may still be better in some cases. All right, we have to take a very quick break on that note. We'll come back on the other side. Now that we've understood the income tax part of it, the question is, what about investments this year? How have tax rules changed? Where should we invest? What is tax effective and what is not? Back with that in just a bit.
Let's talk money